Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Alien versus Predator Galaxy podcast. This episode is going to be a motion tracker sub-series thing because I've decided we're also going to release the motion trackers as part of the main podcasts from now on. They'll just be a little less polished than the normal ones. They'll just go through the post-production tool, and that will be that. But this is Aaron Percival, aka Corporal Hicks, and joining me as always are my fellow outcasts looking to prove that they are prey to none.
Adam Zeller, aka Ridgetop.
Eric Adams, aka Xenomorphine.
Greg, also known as Still Collating.
And we are joined by two special guests as well. Creatures that would survive in a different franchise if we were talking about Alien. For our audio listeners, there is a cat behind Adam on his settee, and there is a cat on my lap. So apologies if we hear random purring in the microphone because my little beastie is quite... she gets a motor running when she's happy. So if you hear any, apologies.
And I've got a golden retriever sleeping on the floor.
And we do sometimes... Eagle-eared listeners will sometimes hear... what was her name? Buffy.
Buffy.
Yeah, we'll sometimes hear Buffy lapping up some water in the background of some of the episodes. So we are pet friendly. We're a pet friendly podcast. Mine's called Luna. What's yours, Adam?
His name is Asia.
There we go. And Greg's got nothing. Where's Greg? Greg, where's yours?
I have a dog and a cat. Well, the families, so they're not in the room at the moment, but they can make noise.
Anyway, we can't even start these things without a diversion. But we are here today to talk about something I don't think I was expecting until the weekend. Not gonna lie, but since it needs to be attached to Final Fantasy to Fantastic Four in a couple of days, it makes absolute sense that it was released as early as it was. Adam, what the fuck are we talking about?
We have a new Predator Badlands trailer, the theatrical trailer. When was the last one released, Aaron? Was it
April?
Oh, okay. So it's been a few months. And yeah, it was a good trailer. So let's talk about it.
Well, let's watch it first. And for audio listeners, we will leave the audio in.
So this is your first hunt. And you've come to the most dangerous planet in the universe. You're after a creature that can't be killed. The definitive apex predator. I could help you. Well, good luck with your journey. You're not the predator. You're the prey. We might not be alone in this hunt.
I'm absolutely fucking on board for this film after that trailer. Absolutely. It looks like pure carnage and madness And I mean that in an absolutely entertaining and fun way. Greg, what do you think? I know you were quite keen on this one as well, weren't you?
Absolutely. When I first watched it, I felt so much hype. Basically, seeing this, I'm like, okay, so this is just confirming more and more. This is going to be fun. It's going to be a wild ride, a roller coaster experience. Just awesome. Everything that I'm generally seeing there is very, very exciting. I'm just so happy that we're trying a new direction. We'll see how the final execution is, but I ended up feeling very hyped after just watching it. I rewatched it so many times that there's so many details in this, so can't wait to see it.
Eric, go on, because I have no idea how you think about this.
Okay, what we did. Visually, yeah, looks competent, impressive, but it's lacking any tension whatsoever, which I do think is a critical.
It's a fucking trailer.
I don't care. It's that Prey had tension, even in the trailers. That's something I loved about that, and
It's a
really
different.
lacking here. I would say we can't judge because it's not the end result, but based on this is the worrying thing. Based on Killer of Killers, there is a danger it will very much be. This is the vibe throughout. So I do have to say I concur with those who say it might be entertaining, but it feels more like a Marvel or Star Wars film than a Predator film. Now, as I say, it could be very entertaining, but yeah, I'm not feeling very compelled about this. It just looks like money shot, money shot, money shot. And I don't know. I don't feel like I must watch this thing.
Go on, Adam.
I thought it was a fantastic trailer. I think the one that initially released back in April was good. I think this was also really good. And yeah, it's a bold swing for the franchise for sure. Like I've seen some critique on our boards of people saying, well, some hardcore fans may be on board for this, but maybe general audiences, uh, this will be too out of line with what they feel a traditional Predator movie is. I disagree. I think audiences are smarter and more open to new things than people give them credit for.
I think
And
it'd be the other way around, if anything.
what do you mean?
Hardcore fans would be the ones.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, but we've had a lot of traditionally done Predator stories. I mean, we had something a bit a new attempt with the Predator, which didn't pan out, but that doesn't mean like it will never work when you try something that's a bit different from what we expect with a Predator movie. Like we can't just have the typical Predator movie each time. And I think Prey was a great marriage of back to basics, but trying something new. And this is moving way more in the direction of trying something new. And I was a bit hesitant of Deck as a character with the first trailer, but now I think he just seems awesome and intriguing. And I'm really curious about the dynamic between him and Thea here, which looks like we might have a bit more comedy involved than we saw in Prey, which I think could work. Like it could be good. So yeah, I am very hyped for this as well. November can't come soon enough, and yeah, looking forward to it.
And so, to your point there, Adam, as well, the Predator had a lot more going wrong with it than it being different. There was a lot of the studio meddling going off in there. And I have always said that the Predator as a creature, as a narrative tool, as a character is incredibly fucking flexible. And you see that in the Dark Horse sort of runs in a very simplistic way of we'll just pop it in this timeline, we'll pop it in that timeline, and it will work. And yes, it does. Prey was us finally getting to see that on a cinematic level with it dropped in the 1800s. But it also works in terms of genre as well. This gives it us in the future, but Predator can move around the genres just as flexibly. And it does, Eric, you bringing up the Marvel quips, Adam, you bringing up the humor of Thea. It feels a little like the old discussion we had in the run up to the Predator. I'm not going to lie there in terms of that, because I'm seeing the same sort of discussions we had on the board sort of take place, where people were like, "Oh, it's just going to be Marvel quips and all that kind of stuff," and then you've got people bringing up the very iconic, humorous one-liners and jokes from the very first half of the Predator as well. So it's definitely, I find Thea very fun from the trailer so far, and I'm very curious to see their dynamic. I'm not worried about humor in Predator, and I never have. I will stand by the cast of the Predator. I genuinely think they are entertaining characters. I think it is funny. The fuck me in the face with an avocado or whatever it is in the Predator is still one of those things that made me cry with laughter just because it was so
Aardvark.
aardvark. What did I say?
Avocado.
Avocado.
Garbage.
It was just one of those lines that just made me absolutely fucking crease. That wasn't the problem with the humor in the Predator. The Predator was too much parody, in my opinion. Not that the humor was a problem. And I'm really, really curious to see this dynamic in play in Badlands, because it seems like it's going to be that classic sort of buddy cop kind of thing, where Deck's playing the straight man and Thea's a bit of a levity, the sidekick to it. And I'm really excited to see it, because I'm just off the trailer alone, I'm just absolutely in love with her already. And the memes going around of this shot that's up on the screen where she's looking at Deck having just killed the pterodactyl thing. I absolutely adore her already, and I'm really, really excited to see how that plays out, and I hope it plays out well. But it is one of the things I'm quite curious about at the moment.
When you
If I,
said
if I
just with the humor thing, I think the thing with the Predator was that was like the Terminator 3 of the Predator thing, because you had humor in Terminator 2, but with Terminator 3 they overdid it a bit too much, and in the Predator because we've been through that before. We realized that in the first Predator film it starts off light, but then it gets more and more and more serious, and the
Yeah,
Predator
the
did it the
humor
other way
drops.
round.
The
Yeah,
humor
I
drops
don't
when
think
it.
that's going to be an issue here. I think in terms of the impression the trailer gives, it's unfortunate that she's very firmly being presented to us as this is the comedy sidekick. That's a bit of an issue. But I think in terms of how successful this film will be, um, when we talk, or I talked about there is this vibe that's coming in the forums and stuff, that it does feel a bit Marvel, Star Warsy. Predator fandom
let's be
alone
fair to
isn't
this
going to
as
be
well, though.
enough. You
Before we
need to
go
have
on,
something more than that. Yeah.
let's be fair to this. While it is coming up, it is not the overwhelming um, vibe of the fan discussion. I think it's fair to say that fan discussion and fan attitude towards it has been very positive, but
Yes.
it is certainly something that is being brought up, because we are fans, and as we do, we always discuss the nitty gritty of it all.
if I may interject, just I think the trepidation of some of us as to how much will this film have the Marvel, Star Wars, classical, now already Disney comedy moments with that. I understand the trepidation there. Uh, when I first watched the trailer, I was a bit like, how are they presenting her? How much will this go into? But again, by the end of the whole trailer, just seeing Thea's attitude, I honestly liked her and found her quite charming there. But yeah,
Absolutely.
and another thing regarding the comedy elements, as said, because comedy was present in the first Predator film in a special context where the first part was no worries, haha, classical, just jokey moments, 80s action type of film before it gets subverted. Um, the thing that for me didn't work in The Predator was that, yes, it's not only if comedy is present, because you have all different types of jokes and comedic approaches. It's the type of comedy that's present, and also when it is used. In The Predator, it was used in moments where I personally found it worked against the tension. It worked against making the threat feel viable. But at the same time, it doesn't mean that we have to have in Predator films that first kind of comedic setup and then it fully subverted. For instance, I adore Predator 2. It might be sometimes, depending when I watch it, sometimes it feels like it's my favorite Predator film. It has comedic moments throughout the whole film, but when something is serious and terrifying, it still is able to deliver. And again, the type of comedy that's present in Predator 2, it just kind of feels um, very appropriate for the type of atmosphere. I personally, watching this trailer, didn't get so much Marvel type vibes. Personally, I'm not much of a Marvel film fan, especially in recent years. So uh, I saw this more as like literally a dark horse interpretation put on screen, one of the the wackiest possible Predator or Alien versus Predator concept from a theoretical like dark horse lineup, just put there on screen and seeing how this is portrayed. And again, I understand that it may be strange for people to see Thea as how comedic she will be. We've seen only a few scenes there, but we've also seen a few scenes in the trailer where she has a very serious look on her face. There looks like there's something serious there going on. There might be tension. We shall see how it's played out. But I don't care so much. Does she have to be like this synthetic stereotype or like another? I pretty like that synthetics are different. They're all unique. They're all very human-like. They are not stiff robots. They are very human-like. They can present as such as in all previous uh, Alien films. So to me, she more kind of seemed like Carl. Actually, Carl in Resurrection was quite silly and human-like and comedic in the first part until the serious stuff started happening. So I think that her presentation there, I really vibed with. I like that.
Yeah, she does feel pretty human-like for an android, like, even in the beginning when we see her plugged in and then she reboots, but she has, like, heavy human-like breaths and her expressions in this and her kind of her humorous nature. Like, it does feel kinda like Call. I believe Call had the same thing when she was plugged into Father, where she had, like, heavy breaths after she, like, disconnected from it. So, that sort of thing is interesting to me, the whole android aspect, which again we usually see in an alien film. This time we're seeing in a predator film with Wayland Yutani here. That's really got me intrigued. Um, the idea of Deck as a predator protagonist, I mean, it's not something so new for us fans. I mean, we've had it when we've played as a predator in the AVP games, when we've read some of the books or comics.
Well, even going back to 1989, the first AVP comic, perhaps
Yeah,
not so much a protagonist to Machiko, but he certainly becomes a very much main character.
yeah,
And
we
then when
see Broken Tusk from the beginning of that comic.
and then when we go to the novelization, he's very much a main character in that.
I know
Love,
some are
love, love or hate
theorizing
Steve Perry.
maybe this is Broken Tusk's film adaptation with the Broken Tusk in this on the same Tusk, but um, I don't think so. But we'll see.
It could be interesting because I can't remember if it's in the novel. Well, yeah, in the novel, they have nicknames or whatever. So maybe it takes like a different approach to it, and Deshande ends up being his chosen name after he completes his first hunt and he takes down the biggest baddest kaiju of all time. I
And
I think it's a fun fan theory that he is actually, the live action interpretation of Broken Tusk. And I'm really, really curious. I'm not invested either way, but I'm really curious to see if it actually pans out and that is the intent behind Deck.
I doubt it. I think that's just our fan thinking about it. Another thing I've noticed is just the planet looks more alien. This was kind of a criticism that the movie Predators had, where they had a
They
few
can only make
shots.
Hawaii so exotic
Well,
after all.
Hawaii and Austin, and they did do some interesting things in meshing those two locations, to be sure. But it didn't feel, other than a few shots of, or really just one shot of seeing some celestial bodies in the sky, like you didn't really
Hmm.
get the sense of it being another world. Whereas this one, I know they shot in New Zealand, but there's a lot of enhanced landscapes here that make the world look decidedly alien. And I don't believe this is the only world we're visiting in the film.
Now there seems to be two, doesn't there? There's like one sort of predator-esque planet that maybe is the planet from Killer of Killers, because it's very deserty, very barren. And there's one bit in the trailer where you get like the shot of the hover bike thing going, and there's what looks like predator statues, giant predator statues, up in the distance.
It's the planet from AVPR because they had those statues there too.
Well,
Maybe that was the
maybe.
inspiration.
I do agree though with the jungle stuff, because that it is looking a bit more exotic. It doesn't just look like Canada. I'm a huge Stargate fan, so I'm used to seeing a lot of Canadian jungles representing alien planets. So it doesn't look quite so earthly, and I do like that approach. And there's a lot of epic, sweeping, sort of vista shots in the trailer. They'd been talking in some of the the interviews, the publicity stuff, about them wanting to give it more of a Conan vibe to it. And I can't remember if this has come from the interviews as well, or if this is just fan extrapolation, but comparisons to Mad Max as well. And I can see that in this trailer. I can see more of a grander scope, especially compared to, Predators was cheaper than AVP, if I remember rightly. Predators was made for 40 mil, if I'm on the mark there. And the Predator never, despite its jumping around locations, it never felt grand in scale. Prey certainly had elements of that, with the shots where she's on the mountainside and the Predator's on the mountainside. And you get some nice sort of sweeping shots of the landscape. But this feels a bit more, from a trailer alone, this feels a bit more grand, just off those visuals.
We also have some interesting tech on display in the trailer. Like we have the Yacht Jabot straight from Predator Hunting Grounds, it seems. I mean, we know Dan took inspiration in Prey. I believe he told us when we talked to him on the podcast, Aaron, Farrell running through the trees. He kind of got the look of that
Predcore.
from the Predcore in that game. So
Yeah.
it's cool to see an aspect of the main Predator game we have right now in display in the movie here. It looks a little different, like the bow strings themselves are made out of energy, which is kind of cool, but the overall look of it is very similar in how it folds out. He has his little backpack there on his little stone prep table
That's
here.
not his backpack.
Yeah, that is the exact same
Thea is
backpack
his backpack.
that Farrell had,
It
actually.
was a joke, Adam.
Wait, what?
Thea is his backpack.
Oh, okay. I got you. Well, his first backpack then. Not sure what those little spherical devices there are, if they're little bombs or, but I mean, the gadgetry is always such a fun part of the Predator films, and we see some of that. We have this little spinning kind of thing that comes out of his gauntlet later in the trailer. So I'm very curious to see all the shenanigans he'll be getting up to with these gadgets and weapons.
Yeah,
I'm
seems like there's gonna be a fun roster of additions to our Predator armory. I mean, I do like that we see some classical things in a kind of blink and you'll miss it moment with the vine things. There will be a classical combat stick there. That's nice, but seeing like the new additions of the bow, that's interesting. Yeah, those kind of spinny mini shuriken type things. That's awesome to see. Like, I like that we have this kind of older idea of projectile shuriken disc weapons, but there's always a new variation of it that you can see. So I'm happy with that. I don't know if the little balls are bomblets or something
could be
similar,
those
but
net bomb things that were in Prey.
true, that could be used there as well. I am wondering if there will be anything other projectile based besides the bow, or if this is it for the gear, which is more than varied enough compared to other Predator films. But yeah, I'm interested to see how the swords will be used. I'm liking the more I'm seeing of it, the more I'm liking. It was a bit strange at first, like how is it going to be used? But I think that if the choreography is like what is shown in the trailers, I think that the sword fights are going to be completely immersive enough to not have anything take me out.
The the laser on the bow is interesting, because it makes it a little less human feeling. But I also, what I think of when I think of a laser bow? I think of the what's her face from Star Wars Bad Batch. The little clone girl with her little laser bow thing. So I'm kind of hoping this is a bit more I know serious in it, but I am absolutely on board with both of you. Half of the fun of these things is the expansion to the Predator hardware as much as it is to the lore, as much as it is to the story. Um, because we're Alien fans as well. We like military hardware. We love a good pulse rifle and a smart gun. And then on the Predator side of things, we love a good fucking combi stick and a new piece of equipment. I am kind of sad the smart discs or the actual shurikens don't seem to be making a return, because I would really love to see a smart disc back or a shuriken back. But we'll see how these little half ninja star things go.
And Deck also uses a human weapon in the trailer, which is cool to see. I mean, we saw that on the big
Yes.
screen for the first time with the Predator, and it was one of those moments in the movie that we liked, and it's cool to see it again here.
I'm also a fan of how the bow here folds. Like it's an interesting way instead of just doing a complete minimization. It folds into this nice, almost type figure infinity shape, uh, smaller pattern. So that's nice to see. I'm happy that to me, part of the fun with the weapons is seeing how do they extend, how do they collapse back in, and what shapes do they make. That's something I always found intriguing there. Yeah, I'm also like with the laser bow type thing, especially with the string. It looks cool and interesting. I am a bit of a bigger fan with how Predator Hunting Grounds makes it like more analog and logical looking in that sense. Just having like all of it be laser is a bit maybe too much. And also, there is a blink and you'll miss it moment where Deck is being pulled back by some long laser whip thing, some rope whip, whatever it is. So it seems that we shall be seeing other weapons, if not wielded by him, by his Predator compatriots.
I thought that was just the plant vines.
No, I know what you're talking about. There is a moment near the end of the trailer where you see some of the Predator on Predator combat, and there is a little bit where he's being dragged back by what looks like a laser whip or something like that.
It was funny to see. So it's not been made a big deal of, but you get to see the combi stick, the spear in the trailer, and he's using it in the plant monster fight or whatever, and the plant yanks it off him and tries to stab him back with it. I know we were talking about this, Adam, on the stream the other day, but you were saying about it feeling a little bit more fantastical, and you not being quite sure if that vibe was going to work for you. I have to say, I'm actually really on board for it now. Especially with all like the comparisons to Conan. I've been watching it through, the trailer, and I'm kind of getting like Enemy Mine sort of vibes to it a little bit. A bit John Carter in there as well. That came up when we talked about Killer of Killers, and I'm up for it. I'm up for this Conan fantastical sort of late 80s kind of sci-fi vibe to this interpretation of the Predator. I'm genuinely really fucking excited just to see all this wild shit going off and to see how it all comes together. Because it's not like it's themeless either. And I think this is interesting because you could call it a repetition of Prey, in that it very much seems to be about Deck proving himself. And it's funny to me, that it's this guy that's going to be much taller than any of us here, is going to be much threatening than any of us here, but he is still fighting expectations of his own culture. So it's very much, this is very much another one of those proving yourself kind of stories, which Prey was with Naru. And I love that in there. I think that's always going to be an everlasting universal piece of character motivation and something that an audience can sort of grab onto. And like there's a bit in here which is the first time in a well, no, I always say first time. We've always got to remember the Predator. We've got to remember AVP 2010, where we get to hear the Predators vocalize. But it's the first time I think we can say we've seen Deck talk, and it's this moment where he's sort of responding to the dialogue of you're the prey here, and he responds, "I'm no one's prey," or something like that. And I think it looks good. The more I've seen of Deck, the more I've seen of this. You know, is Weta doing this?
I believe Studio Gillis. I know Weta is involved with, I believe, some of the CG aspects. So I think it's another collaborative thing, like we saw with Romulus. But yeah, that was something I thought about myself in the first trailer. Like, how is it going to come across having a predator with that mouth structure speak and having that be so prominent? And it works here. Like, it looks really good. We heard a bit of this language, I think, in Killer of Killers, but seeing it here, it's got me sold on this. And I mean, this isn't the first time we've had predators speak before. There have been a few other instances, like in the first time I can remember is the AVP 2010 game, where we heard a language that honestly sounded kind of similar to this, as well as in The Predator, which also sounded kind of similar to this. But those were not apparently fully developed languages that we've had with this movie, where they had a a linguist, is that what you would call it, working on the film? So yeah, I'm very curious to see the communication. I mean, they've said in interviews that he's going to be a bit stoic, so he may not be speaking all the time, which I think is good. But based on this little snippet we get in the trailer, it really works for me.
Have you guys come around to the design as well? Like I never hated Deck from the first trailer. I just thought it looked weird, and I've sat with the design for 3-4 months at this point, and I'm used to the different interpretation of it now, and I'm quite liking it, especially the effect. I mean, whether it's a suit from Gillis, whether it's Weta doing mocap or whatever, it looks good. Like even down to the texturing on his hand and his skin, the way the face moves, the way the muscles move in the face. It looks like a genuinely good effect, and I'm very on board with this interpretation now. How about you guys? Has there been any changes in feelings like that?
Over time, I'm starting to get used to it. The thing that I mostly liked about this trailer is that at almost no moment did I go, that face is still distracting me. I think that slowly but surely I'm getting used to it, and especially how Deck was presented as in this trailer, focusing on everything else but the face. So I think that it's getting there. It's still not perfect. It's still not. It's still far from my favorite, and I still think that the design could be better. All of my previous criticisms do still stand, but they're getting less and less prominent, important, and they're taking me less out of the moment because all of the other aspects are so good. I mean, that is true for like all of the previous Solar Predator and Alien films. Nothing is perfect. There are faults everywhere, but if the whole atmosphere and vibe is good enough, then you're not taken out of it. So I think that if this trailer is a good representative of what the film will be, I don't think that I'll have any like major negative points for the design. I still think the head is a bit small. The the dreads are still a bit strange, etc. The mouth parts are a little bit lower. I still stand by those, but they're becoming less and less important to me. I am liking to actually see him. The ear holes, they're also strange, but I like seeing him. I'm starting to like the character more and more, and especially if he is stoic and if he the facial expressions, the eye movement, and that line gave me chills. I am prey to none. The audio design, the facial expressions there, loved it. That's when it gave me chills, and I was sold. I was sold. I can't wait to see him, and I hope he has other just powerful lines like that. He doesn't have to talk a lot, but when he does, that it has that vocal impact and clear lines for something that is important to say. So I can't wait to see that, and I wonder, will the brother or the father predator speak, and how will that sound? So I'm very intrigued and very kind of looking forward to see how their culture will be developed and expression like this. So I am on board.
Eric?
The facial animation looks CG. It doesn't convince me it's a living creature. The design of the head, I felt indifferent about. I still feel indifferent about. I would like an explanation for why the hair is not coming out of the sockets of the skull. But that's clearly something they've decided. Okay, we're not going with that. Deck. I don't feel like I love this predator. I don't feel like I hate this predator. It's another predator design. I mean, I don't, but I'm not happy about the facial animation. It still looks CG to me.
Adam, any changing thoughts?
I I disagree. Like, I mean, yeah, you can tell it's CG, but it looks convincing CG to me. Like, I find, and I've looked at some like upresed imagery of just the face, and it just looks so detailed. And seeing it in motion, like, it looks really natural to me. Like, I'm sold on however they're pulling this off with a blend of practical and CG. And I do really like his design as well. It doesn't feel like in the past to the point of another predator subspecies, but just that this is kind of a different physical design that to what we've seen. And even compared to other predators we see in the same trailer, like, they have kind of differing physical traits to deck here. I'm already seeing like fan art all over the place for this predator too, and
So much pre-release fan art of all the predators in this, and even just him and Thea, with the backpack thing. I don't think we had that with any of the. I can't remember that with any of the other films since we've been online. Over the last 20 years. I don't remember fan art of Scar and Lex before the film dropped.
yeah, I don't, maybe Prey and Killer of Killers really expanded the fan base more than we realize or something. But yeah, I think, I mean, the trailer already has what, like 11 million views. I think this is going to do well. I know Avatar
I
comes
pulled it up.
out.
Hang on. So over 11.5 million views, 170,000 upvotes, 16,000 downvotes, nearly 16,000 comments.
Yeah, I
That's
think it'll
good
do well.
metrics on
I think it'll do
YouTube.
well. Even I know Avatar comes out a few weeks after that, but I think there will be enough of a gap that the movie will have its time to
Well,
perform well.
absolutely. I mean, they're both Disney films, so Disney's going to want to give them the gap for both of them to be well, and not step on each other's toes. Even though I think Badlands probably feels a bit more Avatar in scope, that compared to other Predator films, but I don't think there's going to be too much overlap there.
And it looks like Romulus, it'll be in all the major formats like ScreenX, 40X, IMAX. I was sad I missed Jurassic World Rebirth in 40X. So you never know quite how long they have until the next one is contracted in, and Superman was just a week after, so I missed my window. But ScreenX is a really cool way to watch a movie, and I saw Romulus in ScreenX and enjoyed it, so I will definitely be seeing this. IMAX will probably be the first night, but I'm sure I'll be seeing this more than once. So
IMAX absolutely first. 40X, I just don't think it's worth the money.
well, I'm not talking 40X. I still have not seen a movie in
Or
40X.
the Screen X, that's the
Yeah,
I don't think that's worth the money either. I've not
it
enjoyed
is.
any of these gimmick screenings. I love a good IMAX, but the gimmick ones, I'm just like,
It depends on the movie. I've seen movies where it works and where it's not as effective. Like, I saw Napoleon in it, and they only had a few scenes with the walls of screens. I'm like, what's the point? But if you find, like, if you sit in the right spot where the walls are your periphery and you're not tempted to look at them, so kind of in the middle, a little bit more towards the front, it works really well to just make it feel more immersive.
What do we think
Eh,
about the new human side of the equipment? And we finally get a good shot of the guns and then the people wielding them.
So we can finally see that all the humans that we saw attacking Deck and Thea in the last trailer are identical. I wonder what that means.
I think it means they're all synthetic.
Yeah, we know because the Trachtenberg, he said, "I want to make a film with no humans in it, therefore they're going to be robots," and that is going to mean it will probably get a PG-13 rating because there's not going to be any human blood. So
I mean, there will be
that's
pterodactyl
given.
blood.
Yeah, but
And
they don't
kaiju
care
blood.
about that. Yeah, they don't
But
care.
that's
It's
that's
creature blood.
actually that's actually a good way to get around the ratings, to be fair, because they can. I know it was copium back in the day, but when AVP was announced as a PG-13, the thing was, oh, it's creature blood, so they can get away with more and still being violent. And that exists without having the actual rating for the film. That excuse still rides for this, and it doesn't bother me. If the blood I'm seeing is purple, like we've seen on Thea's face in some of the shots, if one of the kaiju's is bleeding purple, if these synths are being dismembered and they're all white and whatever, I don't care what color the blood is. If it's still intense, if the action and the violence and the gravity of the violence is still intent, then I don't fucking care what color it is. And that's a nice way around that rating. And if the sensors are that immature that the color makes that much of a difference, then fuck them. Don't bother
I
me.
I don't know. I mean, we haven't gotten a PG-13 Predator film, and I just think they'd want
We have
to.
AVP. We just talked about it.
Yeah, but that's AVP. I'm saying standalone Predator. We haven't seen that. I think they'd want to avoid the press that would come with
Just for
that.
the immature press of it, yeah.
Yeah, so they'll probably throw in a few fucks just to get an R rating if that's the case. Like,
Well, it's a good job these podcasts aren't rated, isn't it?
Thematically, I think that it is an interesting thing to do to have all synthetics as your human stand-ins. So I'm actually happy that again we're trying something new there. And yeah, then
Absolutely.
he can feel completely free to actually go all out if he wants to do some crazy violent action with our red shirts or white blood milky white blood shirts here with the synthetics. So then you can go to the maximum level with the action if the director so chooses. So I think that's interesting. And again, if we're going for a fantastical, as you said, Aaron, type of vibe with this movie, um, I think it's a good idea to, well, not have humans because that's the easiest way to lose immersion. Oh, this is a human being. They shouldn't be able to do that, or this is too much. We're having alien creatures of all kind. We have the predators and we have synthetics. You can change their limits however you want, basically. Well, just basic laws of physics taking into account. Like just you can make them do a lot of things that you couldn't do with human characters. So I think that kind of frees you up to have that extreme, fantastical kind of roller coaster wild nature. Yet at the same time, for me at least, that helps me to not break my suspension of disbelief because yeah, we have a good setup for this, so I'm pretty stoked about the idea.
I'm still not terribly keen on the human weaponry, though. I mean, it's got that white vibe that not hunting grounds,
Fireteam Elite.
that Fireteam Elite took, but it just doesn't. It just doesn't entice me the way that the Predator technology does, or that arm art style does. I really wish we'd have just seen pulse rifles. I wish they'd have just gone, fuck it, here's a pulse rifle, or just gone in and taken one of the the designs from Fireteam Elite, because they are not arm art looking, but they look good. These just look a little bit too boring for me, and I think I had that critique of the previous trailer. and it still applies here. Even
All
seeing
right.
Deck use the weapon, because like I love the visual, and I always have, of a predator using human weaponry. You know, when we first saw it in Big Game, the second ever Predator comic, we had a Predator using an M16, and I loved it in the Predator. I love the visuals in the arcade game. One of the arcade games, I forget which one it is, where the Predator can pick up, a pulse rifle,
Um,
and I think it's the
AVP.
Capcom one,
Yeah,
isn't it?
AVP Capcom.
And I love that. So it just looks a little piddly in this. So I wish they'd have lent a bit further in and gone pulse rifle, but.
Oh, they look like cool little submachine guns to me. I also had the impression that they reminded me of Aliens Fireteam Elite and some of the weaponry we'd see
If
there.
only
But
through the color, really, more
yeah,
than anything. Not even design wise. It's white. White equals
well, the
Wayland
little,
Yutani.
the little blue scope, I don't know, it kind of reminded me of some of the attachments in that game as well. But maybe there's other human weaponry that we haven't seen yet. So who knows?
I think
Did-
it's just generic sci-fi props they use as guns. I don't think it's going to be. Most of it's dark there anyway. I don't think it's going to play much into what we see.
What does really excite me though from this trailer is that fucking mech at the very end, because I really, really want this to be a Predator Concrete Jungle reference, because looking at the shape of it, I got Ulysses vibes from it. And I know you can kind of say that's maybe a little bit of a generic mech design, the robots in Avatar, whatever those things are called. They have a similar profile. But I just really, especially with the synthetic characters that we're seeing here, I just really want to see Dak jump on that thing, rip it open, and pull out some screaming synthetic from inside it. I really want that to be a deliberate reference.
I love that Mac. It looks so good. I mean, generally, I am a fan of mechs that are more of that industrial type, that look more realistic, and I like them more kind of wide, short. So it is basically from just the silhouette. We don't see too many details, but from what we do see, I'm really liking the design. And again, that really shows the kind of crescendo that's probably going to be in the film. Of so we have an army basically of synthetics. We have multiple predators at each other's throats. We have all this aggressive alien life, and yeah, we're gonna have also a big robot to fight. Yeah, that's what I say. This is a roller coaster. There will certainly be a good action scene for everyone who wants to have a scene that they like. So I think it's gonna work perfectly well. I'm loving the mech.
And I'm sure there's still plenty we haven't seen yet. Even as loaded as these trailers have been. So I am curious to see what else is in store. But yeah, the mech looks really cool. It looks like it has that power loader look, just really beefed up. And that was cool to see in like EVP2 with the Alice mech. So seeing an even bigger version here is really cool. I still think it's going to be Rain and Andy in there driving that are going to pop out to save the day. So we'll see about that.
Did anybody else catch what seems to be Wayland Yutani is also capturing these creatures?
Yeah, we see the plant one in a holding cell. So, I mean, that makes sense that they would have to use synthetics on a world this dangerous to be acquiring these specimens.
Which is a nice piece of expansion of Alien and Wayland Yutani there.
And on Thaya's kind of synthetic tube at the beginning, it says bioweapons division. So yeah, it makes logical sense. Like if you're on a planet like this, then I mean, of course, you could have some other natural resources, but the bioweapons division would maybe like to see what use they can have out of these creatures. So makes perfect logical sense there. If I just may, regarding the guns that we mentioned, even though yeah, the shape is simple, I also kind of caught that it's almost like 50s 60s era kind of cheap sci-fi prop guns. It's interesting in that sense, and I honestly am glad they didn't use pulse rifles, because I am kind of always wary that
Boo.
I am wary that if somebody uses the pulse rifles, they will use it wrongly. They will maybe, I don't know, show it being too weak or having different sound effects or just not how it was portrayed in Aliens and how we have learned that the gun functions. So this is a different planet, different who knows what year. Synthetics have from Wayland Yutani have their own type of gear, so they can make the gun be as powerful, as weak, with all the special effects they want. If
Well,
if you're gonna use the pulse rifle, I want to be done with more care. So I'm
also,
up for
if
it.
they're meant to be capturing things, they're going to want something with like a stun or imager setting
True,
rather than
very,
just
very
kinetic
true.
bullets. So, yeah.
Right, and just my last thing to say is, look at this last shot from the trailer where it appears the mech suit is fighting one of the kaiju beasties. So maybe that's Thea clamped inside there, and it is all synthetic piloted.
I mean, nobody's mentioned this yet, but the thing where she says to him, "Oh, you're going after this beast that can't be killed," everybody's been led up to think it's this big King Kong thing with cactus spikes, but she might be saying, "Oh, you want to go after these people that kind of took your equipment," which might be Wayland Yutani Synthetician saying, "You're up against the company, this massive intergalactic company. They're just going to sue you. It can't be killed because it's a company."
I mean, I hadn't really thought about that, but that's kind of
Yeah, because it's
certainly
going to
a
play
take on it.
into Wayland Yutani. You cannot
You
kill
cannot kill
Wayland
it. Yeah,
Yutani. Yeah,
yeah,
it's
that
a
that is
beast.
fair.
It might be
Okay,
something like that.
Eric,
Yeah,
is that the thing you're putting money on for this?
Possibly.
that's an interesting
Interpretation,
interesting
certainly. Yeah.
thought. Yeah, hadn't
I
thought
mean,
about that, but makes me
most
wonder.
people are saying they think the whole big creature thing is a red herring, so it's probably something else.
But most people are also saying, "Oh, it's because it's going to be the alien." There's a lot of that going off.
Yeah,
I absolutely do not think it's going to be the alien.
no.
No
They
xenomorph
might have a
showing up, huh?
cameo. There might be a cameo in a vat or something, but it won't be a AVP.
I am curious. Is this creature the same one we see fighting Deck earlier? Because this one looks a bit smaller, although it's kind of similar. Like they don't have eyes; they're all
Same
spiny.
thought.
Sorry.
Same thought. Same thought. Like
Oh, okay.
this is smaller.
Yeah. So I do wonder, and unless that's just a really big ass mech, um, if that's the same one we see earlier. Maybe this is a juvenile of that same species or something like that.
What if Dex piloting the mech? You don't know.
That would
I
be
mean,
interesting.
that's fine by me. I above just the idea of them using human guns, the predators are intelligent. We don't get to see them actually demonstrate that enough in terms of figuring out our shit. So it wouldn't bother me at all if he was inside it.
Well, Aaron, if somebody asked you, right, here's a ZX Spectrum, use it, it might be a bit because it'd be antiquated by Predator standard.
Also a fair point. I think I could get on with the ZX Spectrum.
Maybe.
Any other thoughts on the trailer, lads?
It's just got me super hyped, and I imagine we'll be seeing more this week. I'm heading out to Comic Con tomorrow. I'll be at the Hall H panel to see whatever they have in store to discuss or show us. I'm hoping maybe we get a look at a scene from the film. But yeah,
Yeah, because I feel like they'd have to bring something else. I think we were all kind of expecting this to drop for SDCC. Obviously, it all makes sense with them wanting to be on Fantastic Four or whatever, but I feel like they have to bring something moving. And I think showing this again, I think it'll be there. But I think that being the only thing there would be a little bit of a disappointment. So I'm very much hoping, Adam, that you do get to see a full or an edited down scene at least. And you will also be doing a debrief little video with us as well afterwards. So
yeah, there's going to be a lot to cover between the premiere of Alien Earth, this panel. We know there's going to be some other things there, even in terms of like the collectible side of things. Servius is going to be there. So although the scheduling might prevent me from doing another interview with them like I did at last year's SDCC, I assume them being there means we'll see some new info in a trailer for Evolved Edition for Rogue Incursion. So should be a busy week for us. So keep your
Indeed.
eyes peeled to our social channels and our website if you'd like to see all the latest updates.
We just one thing we forgot kind of to mention. I don't know if anybody has particular thoughts on the other predators. We kind of see a few more shots, a few more angles, and kind of little story implications there about the potentially, I don't know, dad and brother predator. What do you think from the angles? How do they look from the few little shots we've seen?
I think the older Predator with the white dreadlocks looks interesting. How he has this biomask with these kind of antler-looking horns on them. It's a really interesting design. His brother also looks good. I don't know, the Predator masks. I'm not sure how I feel about yet that I've seen in the movie. I'll have to see a bit more of them. I do love the look of Deck that we saw in the first trailer, where he has like the sash on with the mask there. I thought that was really cool. But just seeing more of the mask, I'm not sure how I feel about it yet. I could end up really liking those. But yeah, I'm curious about what this Predator conflict is going to be. We saw some of that in the first trailer as well. But it looks like they may be saving that.
Eric, any thoughts on those other designs? What we see
Unleash
of
the
them?
memes. I'm here for the memes. We haven't really seen enough of them to really make much in the way of judgments. Although I'm sure there will be upcoming hunting grounds stuff coming out, and possibly Helldivers crossovers too. But the Predator designs, we haven't seen much of them. We don't know what.
They have been keeping them quite close.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued by the idea of this elder or dad or whatever it ends up being, with this very ornate mask. It does kind of give vibes of the witch one from Hunting Grounds. And I can't really think of any other predator that has that highly ornate a design. Maybe was it the clan leader, the Kenner line had
Yes.
something crazy and wacky like that. It's interesting. I also like the idea of all the white dreads. And I think what we'd seen of the design showed it was more of a typical sort of dreadlock placement all around the head rather than just at the top like we've been seeing from Deck. So, we're getting to see that different biological look in the trailer in the film. Really curious.
Has
But
there ever been a figure with Predator with a mohawk? With the dreadlocks like a mohawk? I don't think there has there?
I can't think of anything off the top of
No.
my head. But
I mean, we've seen
was
like
there some hunting ground concept art for something like
Sure
that?
there was.
well,
I
I mean,
I
we've
think there was some
seen
concept art for
the
that.
dreads like bound together in like a ponytail, but not quite this far forward on the head before. We could
There's
go and
been
take a
something.
look.
There has absolutely been something that looks like that, and I feel like it was that guy Style who has done most of the concept art for Hunting Grounds. So we'll have a look and we'll include that in the comments for this, or maybe bring it up next week when Adam's doing his debrief. But yeah, I think that's everything then. Yeah, getting heads or nod heads. So very much fucking looking forward to this. Really excited for the film. The trailer has done the job of amping me up, which is nice because I think we were all quite surprised at how generally unenthused Killer of Killers was for most of us. Greg liked it a lot more than the rest of us did. We all enjoyed it. Adam, mute your fucking microphone. He's just fucking math. Sorry, there in the thing. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so we're all kind of not quite on board following Killer of Killers. Not to say we disliked it, but we did. We thought it could have been better. Apart from Greg, Greg really liked it, and I'm glad Greg got a lot of enjoyment from it. So there was the potential to go into Badlands being a bit bummed out and lacking that enthusiasm because of that. Our reaction to Killers of Killers, or my reaction to Killers of Killers, certainly. So I'm really, really glad that this has excited me. Because that's the thing as a fan I struggle with. I genuinely struggle with when other people have I don't want to say negative reactions, but when the vibe becomes negative, when you can't talk about something without it being nothing but, negativity around you. I struggle with that. And I struggle with it myself when I feel disappointed or when I feel apprehensive about, these things that mean a lot to me, these franchises that are a huge passion of mine. So for this to come out and just hit that chord with me, struck that chord with me. I'm really pleased by. I think marketing team's done a fantastic job with this. I'm liking what I'm seeing of the visuals. I'm liking what I'm hearing from Dan in the interviews. So can't wait to hear what comes out of 4H.
What do we think is going to be the popcorn bucket? Just like Deck's head, or
that
The
might be
ma-
a bit too obvious and crass, I think, for the popcorn bucket.
It'll be
Well,
fear upside down with a legless part like that.
the mouth of the creature, the big creature with all the teeth, it's not the same, but it looks a bit like the Dune bucket thing. So maybe the monster, the unkillable thing, will house our popcorn. We shall see.
Okay, any other thoughts, guys, or we're wrapping here?
I mean, I'm with you. It has me on board. So I can't wait to see what's in store this week and beyond. I mean, it's almost August, so November may seem like a long time away, but I don't think it'll feel too
The rest
long.
of the
We'll
year's flown
see.
by.
So yeah, hyped for an Alien series also to hold us over until we get to see this. So
Cool.
Excited. Can't wait to see it.
So thank you everybody for listening or watching. Like Adam said, he'll be on site at San Diego Comic Con, and he'll be there sending me quick bullet points as I'm typing them up on the news page to do a post for. So keep an eye on avpgalaxy.net for the coverage over the weekend. We'll do a debrief when Adam returns, along with Hunter. I need to ask Mikey if he's interested as well. I assume he will be, but we'll hopefully have another motion tracker podcast and video up on YouTube next week. So just keep an eye out on all our bits and pieces. I assume Adam will be posting pictures to the socials of anything interesting that he sees as and when he sees it as well. So, all the more reason to stick with your premium source for Alien and Predator news. We've been around 2 decades doing this job, which makes me fucking sad from an age point of view because there's white in my beard. But I'm super proud of everything we've ever done and, how much passion and how dedicated we are to getting this shit out to you guys and girls out there listening and watching. So stick with us this weekend. We'll do our best to give you this coverage and hopefully, we're going to be joined by Dan on the podcast soon. Can't imagine we're going to be talking too much about Badlands because it'll be primarily focused on Killer of Killers, but we'll be hearing from Dan soon on that project. I'm in the final legs of editing our giant retrospective interview with the Eurocom developers who created Predator Concrete Jungle. We also did another fucking giant interview with the creative team behind Predator Bad Blood. So there's tons of stuff in the bag, more stuff coming up, plenty of reason to give us that follow on YouTube, subscribe to us on your normal podcast, bits and pieces, and follow us on the socials. So this has been Corporal Hicks.
Ridgetop.
Xenomorphine?
Still collating.
Get into the chopper.